This is an open letter for the Sane Society, to the Sane Society. I just finished reading a very short interview that Miss Oriana Falucci, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Italian journalist, a very courageous Italian journalist who of the last century. She's not alive anymore. But in this interview, and she has a very famous book also she wrote about her experience as a reporter in Vietnam War, and that was a masterpiece. But unfortunately, they don't reproduce it. I guess, the free government, the free society is not really free, you know. Although the price of the second-hand book that Miss Falucci had written about Vietnam and her experience in Vietnam during the war, although the price is very high, the prices of second-hand is very high, that shows a lot of demand for it, but still the system does not allow its republication. So you can, probably buy one of that book for like $200 on eBay, or else you won't come across that information. Anyway, my point is this, that I read her interview with Ariel Sharon from 1982. Ariel Sharon later became the president of Israel, but at that time in 1982, apparently he was the defense minister, and that was during the a time where Israel also attacked Lebanon, went all the way up to Beirut, and started killing any brown skin they saw, any started killing brown skins on sight. What they're doing in Gaza now, Israelis, these European Ashkenazi folks have been doing this forever. Sometimes they attack this side, they kill a whole bunch of brown skins, and sometimes they attack this side, to the north, to the south, to the west, to the east. Thank God their west is the ocean, but Israelis have been doing this forever. I mean, this interview that I was reading, it was interesting because it was between this woman and Ariel Sharon as defense minister at the time of that attack that Israel had into Lebanon and took over Lebanese land. But you couldn't tell that this interview was between these two, because the interview could have been like yesterday between Mr. Netanyahu and another courageous reporter, which apparently there are none anymore. None to the point of Ms. Falucci in the interview tells Mr. Ariel Sharon that a large majority of people who know you consider you as a bloodthirsty brute, and she says that in his face, and he laughs it off. But needs some kind of courage to tell it like it is. Anyway, my point is this. This interview could have been yesterday. Everything was on point. No, United States is not our protector. United States is our ally. We need United States as much as United States needs us. Everything that you hear today in these interviews, Ariel Sharon said it in this interview in 1982, 42 years ago. This I mean, if you try to do a certain action for 75 years since the inception of Israel, for 75 years you've been trying to perform a certain action and it doesn't happen. Imagine you you want to become an astronaut and you work on it for 75 years towards becoming an astronaut, and you're nowhere near being an astronaut still after 75 years. Do you give up and say maybe this is not for me, or do you continue? They not only they haven't given up on the endeavor that involve, I don't care who's right or wrong. I don't care about that. I care about results. If for 75 years you're looking for your shining city on the hill, and this neighborhood is so shitty that they won't let a shiny hill, your shiny hill, it's not their shiny hill, it's your shiny hill, and it's their hill. You want to put your shiny city on their hill, and the native flora and fauna is not happy with it. If you do it for 75 years, isn't it time to say, maybe it's not them, maybe it's me, maybe this idea is a crazy idea, maybe because I miss a leg and I miss a hand and I miss an eye and my IQ is 40, I cannot become an astronaut. Maybe you say because of all these difficulties, maybe being an astronaut is not for me. I tried for 75 years, maybe it's not for me. With anything in life, if you try it for 7 years and it doesn't happen, change direction. You don't need to wait for 75 years. If you try to do something for 7 years and it doesn't happen, maybe you need to readjust, reevaluate your goal. Maybe being an astronaut is not for you. Maybe being a only Jewish state in West Asia, where the local flora and fauna is brown, having a white state in the middle of brown people, maybe it's just not doable. Believe me, the Germans tried it in South Africa. It wasn't successful. And they're as smart as you, if not smarter. Again, but their German peasant must be as dumb as fuck if they're falling for the same scenario as World War I and World War II. Now they're following it for the same scenario in 2024 for World War III. Mr. Olaf is in charge. How dumb is that motherfucker? My point is this. They're not dumb, they're boys. Mr. Macron, Mr. Olaf Scholz, these guys are boys. They want to win. They think there is a win to have at the end of a war. My point is this. It's like this interview could have happened yesterday. The same things. Everybody is lying. The main theme was that everybody is lying except us, the Israelis. Main theme. At the end of it, the guy says, Ariel Sharon says, no, I'm not a practicing Jew. But the next sentence, he says, but the Bible has promised this land to us. You don't know what to say. They have the same contrast today. They have the same issue today. That how, if you are living on somebody else's land based on something that a book says that you don't believe in, you see, that holy that Torah that you say you don't believe in is saying this land belongs to you. You're not a practicing Jew because you don't believe in that book, or else you would be practicing, I guess. So you don't believe in that book, you don't believe in the whole background story, but you like the land and you think something that's stated in that book that you don't believe in written by somebody that you may or may not believe in, God has promised you this, but you like the land. Mr. Ariel Sharon declares himself as a secular person, which I guess is a good thing, but also maintains that the land was promised to them. Okay? You don't believe in the guy who promised it, but you like the promise. Anyway, the interview could have been done yesterday. Everybody lies except us. Everybody lies except us. They are terrorists. We are the good guys. We are protecting United States just as much as the United States is protecting us. United States was not happy when we attacked Lebanon, as it is today. United States says they're not happy because as these guys attacked Gaza, but they still need us, so they'll still support us as it is today. As we see it on the surface, they say they don't approve of all the 30,000 dead in Gaza. They don't approve it. Uncle Sam's managers say they don't approve it. However, the moral, financial, and military support continues hand over fist. And the same thing that was happening in 1982, the same vetoes in United Nations against censoring Israel, the same thing that was happening in 1982 is happening today. At that time, it's like 100,000 were killed in Lebanon by the Israeli, around 100,000. Palestinians and Arabs, native flora and fauna. A whole bunch was killed at that time, and a whole bunch is killed now. And there is 42 years in time difference between these two events, and it's still going on. I'm sorry, this is not a dream. This is a nightmare. A whole Israeli public has PTSD. You think war only brings about PTSD for the victims? No, the victors, they all have PTSD. They all have been involved. The victims died, they lucked out and died. Those who are alive have PTSD. They say a large number of US veterans commit suicide every day. Is this the idea that Israelis start committing suicide every day? Because these motherfuckers are going to have PTSD. All the Jewish people, all the people who are fighting on behalf of Israel today, they're gonna come back with PTSD. Right now they are somewhat blocking it because it's happening fast and it's all the adrenaline rush into their system because they are under threat themselves. Once they go home, these folks are going to start killing themselves. What kind of dream is this? "75 years?" And somebody like Ariel Sharon, who's he's amoral, who has killed all the sense of morality in his system, only he survives to the old age. The rest probably are going to commit suicide because of all the PTSD they're experiencing right now with all the shit that they're feeding the native population. If it's walking, shoot it. If it's crawling, shoot it. When it stops moving, you can stop shooting. Salute. I'm sorry, war has no winners. Absolutely zero winners. I mean, the only people who win from wars, the teams don't win. I guess the club owner win. Even in these games humans play with a ball with 10, 12, 5, 6, 7, 8 people running after a ball. Even in these, the two sides, all the players, they get banged and bruised after a match, during a match, after a match, during a match. They get banged and bruised. It costs them a lot, a lot of life energy. The only winners of the owners of those teams. That every time they play, these guys make hand over fist money hand over fist. So the only winners are the owners. In case of war, it would be Wall Street and the and all the arms manufacturers and Wall Street and any business steel producers that provide all the steel for the arms manufacturers and the ammunition producers that will provide all the ammunition for the manufacturers and everybody is in this chain supply chain of military hardware and software and whatever else related. They make hand over fist money, but at the end of the war the victims are dead, the victors have PTSD, and the public is poorer for it on both sides, and a whole bunch of land has been destroyed. A whole bunch of human productivity has been destroyed. Who's winning here? The supply chains of the arm industry and the very wealthy people who have investments in the supply chain of the arm industry and the policing and the military. Anybody who has money in these supply chains for military is winning. Very few. We're talking about, you know, and employees, don't tell me the employees of those arms manufacturers are winning. They're not. They just have a job. They could as well be working for space industry instead of arms manufacturing. They're not winning either. So all those employees, they're out. You can't consider them as, winning in this business of war. Only the owners of those specific industries that are in the supply chain of arms industry win, and they're investors. That's all. I don't think that's even 1% of the population. That is 0.0001% of the population. Everybody else is losing. Even in Israel. I mean, and Jewish people are supposed to be smart. I mean, is any of these acts, is it gaining any more status for Israel or Jewish people? Is it gaining status or losing status? Is it gaining popularity or losing popularity? Is it gaining social status or losing social status? It's all losing. It's lose, 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 lose. What have you gained? Some land. Who has gained the land? Oh, well, a few people at the top. The rest are paying rent to those few people at the top. They're going about in West Asia. These Europeans in West Asia are going about dealing with the natives more or less exactly the same way that Europeans dealt with the natives in North America and South America and Central America. Just slash and burn. There is this video, multiple videos on the internet of these bulldozers, Israeli bulldozers that work only at night. They are very well guarded, armored, and their job is that they have this hook plow, a very efficient plow at the back of the extremely large bulldozer. It's like the biggest bulldozer that Caterpillar makes. And their job is that they go into, that part of Jerusalem or suburbs of Jerusalem that is not owned by the Israelis, that is not settled by the Israelis, and it's settled by the natives, native Arab. They go around with these bulldozers and literally he puts his plow down in the middle of the street. These villages, these towns that are, they have paved land. There is some paved asphalt, and this bulldozer moves around sometimes at night, and they just put the plow down in the middle of the road and drag. And sometimes electricity lines are ripped, the water lines are broken, as well as the asphalt, the road being ruined. They just plow the road in the middle of the fucking village. Has this resulted into a better environment? Has this given any good results for the past 75 years that you guys are continuing? I'm sorry, after 7 years, if you have a goal and you don't reach it within 7 years, please give up. Giving up at that point is a very good idea. Nobody thinks you're weak. It's a good idea to give up and try a different direction. After 7 years, not 75. God. Salute.